I've been out today doing a bit of walking, and was a wee bit sore when I got back, but not too bad. But I just really felt the requirement to get this bike out, give it a wee run. It's not been out for like a couple of weeks, so I like to try and keep them going. And we've not had a lot of dry weather, but we have it today, and I thought I'll give the camera another wee spin. Now, when I look at the meter on this camera, it looks like it's constantly hitting red. When I made the setting changes yesterday, when I was test riding the Street Bob, I actually then ended up killing the engine noise, so I've reverted that back, and I'm going to try the mic as it is now. I've done all the usual with the gain and so forth, but I've just put everything kind of back to normal, and I just want to see how it's going to work. And I just thought I'd give this a wee blast at the same time, kill two birds with one stone. I was thinking yesterday, you know, when I was on the Street Bob, you know, it's an 1868cc engine, 2-cylinder. It must be about, I don't know, 86 brake horsepower or something like that. And this is an inline 4. This guy's up my arse, but he doesn't realise it's a 40-mile-an-hour limit here. This is a 1100cc, 144 brake horsepower bike. So a good bit more brake horsepower, a lot less cc. And the Harley, a lot more cc and a lot less brake horsepower. And it really is amazing what engine designers have come up with in the different engine configurations. Now, the ZZR1100, I think its sort of claim to fame is its linear power delivery. Just basically on the normal open road, the ZZR's just got this wall of linear power. You just keep winding it on and it just keeps coming at you. There's no particular point in which it becomes, you know, a ravenous monster. It just keeps giving you acceleration as you keep asking for it. And it is really quite phenomenal. And it was a phenomenal experience when it first came along. And I feel so lucky to be a custodian of this bike, to have one that's in such nice condition, is running quite so well, and you know, I could probably enjoy for the rest of my days quite happily, and that's what I intend to do. But that Street Bob that I was on yesterday was just absolutely, I'm sure you could tell by the video that I was absolutely blown away by it. It was really something special. And both these bikes give you an experience that is quite individualistic to them. ZZR, like I say, you just wind it on and it just keeps coming, and it just keeps coming, and it just keeps coming, and it never ever stops. And unless you are in an area where you can reach its maximum speed, and certainly if that's a public road, then you go to jail. But even if it was an airstrip or something, up to that point the bike would just keep giving you power, giving you power. The Harley Davidson, with its big thumping motor, delivers a real punch, and it's like an instant punch. It's like somebody just instantly giving you that punch, but then it's going to fade a bit, because it's not a high revving bike like this is. So if you keep winding the throttle forward, you're going to have to change gear to keep that torque rolling in there. You will start to hit the rev limit of that bike quite quickly. So it is a different power delivery, understandably so. I mean, they're totally two different engine configurations, but they're both very interesting, you know. They're both quite amazing. And it's the same with the V4. The V4 sits in its own as well, where it again has got quite a smooth delivery, but it does it in a very different way. It's kind of almost like taking a V-twin and an inline 4 and kind of putting the two together. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel about it. Grown to love Harley Davidsons. I've always loved cruisers. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea. I know Harley Davidson puts a lot of people off, especially with the image that it portrays, and even some of the riders, the image that they think it should portray. And I've heard people say it, oh, it's not really what a Harley Davidson rider should wear, kind of thing, you know, maybe commenting about people's clothing, you know, that kind of thing. It's not in the style, you know, the lifestyle, whatever it is you want to call it. I don't care about any of that shit. I just love the motorbikes. I just love the old-fashioned mechanics, which, you know, although has advanced in its own way, is still, you know, it's got bloody push rods, for goodness sake. It's still got push rods. Come on, you know. But yeah, I love it, and I love the way it delivers the power. I love those big V-twins. And I hadn't tried a Milwaukee M8. That yesterday was the first time I'd actually got on one, and of course that was the Milwaukee M8 114. This is much more of a rush, this is much more of a charge, whereas it's kind of like it's like this is pulling you in, and the V-twin is like a push behind it. It's really hard to describe the difference in the power delivery. They both achieve the same thing, they both would make that overtake. This one would probably make it feel less intimidating in some ways, because you've got the linear power, you've got the high rev range, so you can keep going. Totally two different experiences, but yet they achieve the same result, and the enjoyment is equally the same. That's a love of motorcycles, of motorcycle engines, all the various variants that you get. That, you know, the way this sounds is halfway between modern and old school, because it was before all the emission rules and catalytic converters, all the restrictions we had. But, you know, you get so many different bikes and they deliver it all in a different way, and yet the enjoyment is phenomenal. I had somebody commented on why I ride with my thumb up all the time, and that they made a comment that it was dangerous, and I'm not sure, you know, other than the fact that you might not have, you know, the handlebar could move in a way because you're not locked behind it, but I really couldn't see where the danger was. But I am, you know, I'm open to it, and it's a fair comment, and I replied and explained that the reason that I ride with my thumb up the top is because about 10 years ago I was on my ZZR1100 and I did a 300-mile day on it, and it was on the way back from Oban, and I still had about 100 odd miles to do. My wrist and my thumb was getting really sore, and that was the start of a major problem that I got with my hand, and I could never solve it. I could never make it go away. It just got worse and worse. It got to the stage where I couldn't ride, and that was when I switched to DCT for quite a few years, and that allowed it to recover. And it's not carpal tunnel or anything like that. It was something to do with the band in your hand that the tendons go up. It was related to that in some way, but it wasn't carpal tunnel. And then when I got back to riding normal bikes, I found it really uncomfortable to put my thumb behind the throttle grip, and that it would kind of felt like it was maybe going to start a problem again. So I got into the habit of riding like this, and over the years, you know, 10 years, I've obviously built up my tendons on the top of my hand, and they're quite strong, and I don't tire at all changing the clutch like this. It's not difficult for me, and I've just gotten used to doing it. And I have tried to switch back, and you've seen I've tried it there, here and there. I will try and go back to it, but I don't really know if I need to. But it was a comment that was made, and you know, at the end of the day, if you put a video out on YouTube and you do anything that somebody could comment on, then, you know, that's fair enough, because it's there to be seen and it's a valid point. If it is dangerous, then, you know, other than you not having maybe full control of the handlebar, even though I feel I still do, it was a sort of interesting comment. But anyway, that's why I ride like that a lot of the time. It's a habit I've gotten into. If it's a bad habit, then it's a bad habit. It's me that has to sort of live with that. And I mean, someone else commented that I was riding without gloves, and I was doing it again yesterday. Again, I apologise. Sometimes I just can't be bothered putting them on. You know, I just find it's nice to ride without them, especially when it's, you know, the weather's okay. But I do, again, I mean, accept that as a really valid comment. Skin is valuable. If you come off your bike and put your hand down, you haven't got gloves on, you're going to take the skin off your hand right away. That's a silly thing to let happen. That could be stopped. Skin's not easy to replace, you know. And I mean, if people were going about in their shorts and riding their bikes in their shorts, I'd be the first one to go, for fuck's sake, you know. Stop recording. Stop recording. Right, so you'll see that I've got this camera. It's a new camera. Now, I've had GoPros since I started doing videos. Since the GoPro 3, I've had GoPros. I've had a couple of video channels before, so, you know, I've had video footage I've done in the past that obviously isn't up on this channel now. So I have been using GoPros for a long time, And a few months ago, as you're probably aware, I bought a DJI Mini Pro 4 drone. And that was my first introduction to DJI, and I really liked the drone because I had a drone previous to that, and we won't go into the story of how that went. I wish we had filmed it that day. It would have been so funny. But anyway, I just found the DJI so easy to use, and I've now flown it about a dozen times, and I've had no comedy shows with it, and I really like it. It's a great bit of kit, and everything you get with the DJI combo packages is absolutely fantastic value for money. I got an offer in from Very, as I do now and again, every 4 months or something, and it was 20% off. So I had a look, seen this on their site, and I ordered it, and I got the combo pack for about £300 by the time I got my discount. I also then bought the remote mic, the Mic 2 or whatever it's called, and thought, right, I'll give that a go, see how that works. And I bought the lapel mic to go with it as well. And at that point I was thinking that maybe the remote mic could go in my pocket and I could plug in the lapel mic, and that would be a good way of setting it up. But then I realised I watched somebody using one, and I had it clipped inside their helmet, the actual remote mic. And I thought, oh, well, that was dumb, and I should have thought of that, so I'll give that a go. So I've got it clipped inside this chin strap that I've got the camera on. Now, yesterday was the first time I used the camera, and as you saw, I changed the sound setting because when I was looking at the meter, it looked to me like it was really peaking. So I put on the sound suppression stuff, you know, to stop all the wind noise and that. And of course I realised when I went back to edit the video that the actual original sound was fine, and the change I had made it sound like underwater. So I realised that I'd made it worse. I'd actually spoilt the sound of that Harley, which was really annoying. Wee deer there at the side of the road. But I had a very good day with the camera. It really performed well, it lasted well. Can't believe the road, can't believe. Oh dear. It's just so easy in life to get naughty on these things. Road surface here is not great, and as I say, I had a good day with the camera. It went well, the battery lasted really well. I had a bit of a hit or a miss with the voice commands. They do work, but I found that really it's not that accurate, whether it's because I've got a minky Fife accent and it doesn't like that. But I can get it to work, and I find that if I just slow up and I'm not going to say the words, okay, because I don't want to break the video right now, but I found if I slow up and say the commands, they tend to trigger and they tend to work, and most of the time. And then when we went to the park there and I parked up, I stopped the video with the command, and then I got some photographs just by saying the commands, and that worked relatively well, but it wasn't working all the time. So it's a bit of a hit or miss, but it is a great feature, and it means that you can switch the camera off because sometimes you go out for a ride and it's all day and there's lots of boring bits and you don't want to take it all in. There's bits you just don't bother recording, and it's great that you can switch it off, because then you can save the battery. But you know, I didn't have it off too much yesterday, but I still got well over an hour out of the battery, which is phenomenal. Now when you buy the combo pack, you get the 3 batteries and you get the charger and you get the stick. So in the end I got all that for £300, and then I think the remote mic was maybe about £89 or something, and that the sound quality in that seems to be really good, and all the crackling and popping I had is gone. So far, instantly, I'm impressed with it, as I have been with the DJI drone. Now, I know everybody seems to be switching from GoPro to DJI. You know, GoPro's had it all their way for long enough, and their kit hasn't always been reliable. I've always found it a bloody nightmare to get working with microphones. But anyway, I just thought I would give it a go, and I'm really so far very pleased with it, and it really hopefully will improve the recording, especially the audio. This is a wee town called Octortool. I do my best to behave as much as I can. Now, my brother would murder this road on his ZZR, at least he used to. This road goes way back to, and I've said it before, this is the Turn Up Boys road, where they used to try and do a ton. You did a ton on this, you were a hero. Remember, in the 60s, not a lot of bikes could do 100 mile an hour very easily, and when they, like that straight I was on with the jumps, that's where they would probably try and get the ton. And you can imagine that these old bikes, or the only old bikes then, but they would struggle to get 100 mile unless they were tuned a bit. Had terrible brakes, terrible suspensions. I mean, they must have been brave as hell to even attempt it. And I mean, I've watched those bikes going round the Beveridge Park in the days when the Beveridge Park used to have racing, and they would bump up and down all over the place, and you'd just be thinking, oh my god, how are they staying on them? And half the time their arses would actually leave the seat. I am behaving, that's what I'm doing. But you know, this is still a big bike. It's funny because I don't know quite the weight of this bike. It's probably about 230 kilograms or something like that. I have no idea, I'm just taking a guess at that. That Harley was just under 300 yesterday. Certainly doesn't feel the size of this. And this feels heavier. It's obviously just all the low centre of gravity away and all that. But what a sound, what a marvellous sound this bike's got. And the power delivery it's just beautiful. I mean, it really is just beautiful. Unfortunately, a lot of these bikes now are not in the best of condition. They've had a hard life, they're not being looked after. A lot of people, you know, won't have replaced the consumables and serviced them. So there are a lot of rough models out there, and that's why you see a lot of cheap bikes. And you know, £1,000 could buy you a bike that if you do a little bit of work on, you could end up with still quite a nice bike. Oh yeah, bastard, I keep forgetting about that fucking bit in the road. Well, that wasn't sore, it was just caught me out, that was all. My delicate bits did get a little bit of a rattle there, but it's fine. Some of the roads now are just so bad. So I'm really enjoying this bike, much more than I thought I would. And I think this is the first one I've really bonded with. I really love it. I love the look of it. I think that it's a colour that until you see it in the flesh, it just looks like it's been carved out of beautiful metal. You know, it's like a sculpture. It just makes it look very metallic, and it really suits it. I won't get the VFR out tonight. We'll just get back in and get a bath after today's wee expedition. But I'm really glad that I made the effort to get this out. I know it's the same road I quite often do, but it's such a good road. It's such a good wee circuit. Relatively quiet on a Sunday at this time. I don't know quite the guy's channel's name. I think it's the Old Guy Mechanic or something like that. Anyway, it was quite sad. He put a video up last night. He's obviously not very well. I'm going to imagine that he's got some kind of lung issue or something. And he was, you know, he's made quite. I've subscribed a while back to him, and he's just a nice old bloke and canny, and his videos are interesting. And that was him posting saying that was his last video, that he wasn't able to do it anymore. And that was sad. You know, when you get older, life changes, and the things that you think will last forever don't. And it's weird how you know that nothing lasts forever. Enjoy it while you've got it, you know. And we all take it for granted, but I'm still riding around on motorbikes and enjoying them and getting to experience them and so forth, but how long will it last, you know? I can't believe that I've been riding legally for 43 years, you know. So there I realise that my thumb's been up the whole time. But it's just habit now, you know. Good thing about being a bit of wind in the air is you don't get the bugs. It's always good. I'm interested to see how this recording comes out. There are some great supporters of this bike. It's amazing how the older bikes get a lot of great comments and people really enjoy watching the videos. I can understand why, because it could be a big slice of their past, you know. And I'm sure it must sometimes could be a decision of, oh, I need to get one of those again, you know. I've been very lucky because the last one of these I let go, I shouldn't have let go. And I never thought I'd find another one as good as that. And it wasn't as good as this, you know. Not as good as this at all. It was newer, but it wasn't as good as this. So I've been really lucky that I found this. I've been lucky I found my VFR 750, and recently the 1200. The same story. This is my third VFR 1200. My Harley is, I love my Ultra. You know, I've done a couple of thousand miles on it. It's such a well equipped bike. It's beautiful, looks great, has all the amenities you need. It's got all the luggage, it's got all the extra rails. It's a massive package, you know. The weight is killing me, and I really am. Now I know that I can't carry on with these 400 kilogram bikes. The trouble with the Ultras is it's got the batwing fairing, which adds all the weight to the handlebars as well, and it's okay on the move. It's just all the slow stuff. And I'm torn to get rid of it because I like the sound of it. It's got the Vansenheim pipes. It's a 103 twin cams. I think the 103 twin cams, the last of them, were probably the best. But I've surrendered to the fact that I need to get a lighter bike, lighter Harley. I want to stay with a Harley crew. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, Harley Davidson, as I said earlier, but I just love the motorbikes, and I've made some good friends. You know, my Harley has introduced me to some really nice people. You know, and I made a good friend out of all that, so I just love the scene, and I love the bikes and the engines and mechanics of them. And on the whole, you know, most of the riders are friendly, and they all like doing big trips and so forth. They like doing the mileage. But I'm just trying to get my head around what I should do, what I should get. Hence me riding the Street Bob yesterday, and that blew my mind away. I mean, it's a lovely bike, you know, and I do really like that 114 engine. But there are a couple others that I've looked at. The Softail Standard is a really good buy, and that you can do what you want with. Oh, I could smell an old car, and that's because there's an old car in front of me. You can't even beat that smell. Oh, soak it in. And I'm also looking at a Sports Glide, which actually kind of ticks all the boxes. And it's only I think the Street Bob is 296 kilograms, and I think the Sports Glide is about 307. So still a good. I mean, those are still heavy bikes, but they're a good way away from 400 plus kilograms. And it ticks a lot of boxes, but it's quite a bit more expensive. My heart was really stolen by the Street Bob, how it looks. And yes, you know, you can do any Softail, you can do anything to make it whatever you want it to be. But with that comes a lot of additional cost. And so Sports Glide might sound expensive, but by the time you get all the benefits of the nice bits of that, I mean, one of the things I did comment on yesterday was the size of the tank. The tank's not bad on a Street Bob. Well, I say it's not bad. It's not ideal. It's 3 gallon. I estimated that riding it the way I was yesterday, I probably would get about 156. Probably would get a wee bit more than that to empty, but that's to empty, you know. Now, I know that most of my rides, I will stop somewhere around about the 80 mile mark to 100 mile mark to get petrol. If I'm on my own, certainly that's what I'll do. If I'm with a group and they've all got bigger bikes, then I mean, I can get 200 plus miles out the Ultra, so you know, that could do a good trip without visiting a petrol station. But So it's not bad, but I mean, if you look at the Sports Glide right away, it's got an 18.9 litre tank, so it's got, you know, at least 5 litres more. I think it's 18.9. So it's got at least 5 to 6 litres more, and that's more like it. That's more like the size of tank you want. So there's all these things, you know. I mean, I love that street bob, and I think the standard's a very good buy as well, and there's quite a bit of money off those at the moment. So I'm just thinking about it, and I don't know what I'll decide. If I was being sensible, I would just sell my Harley and not worry about getting another one, you know. But I've never really followed this being sensible very well. And I know we can all make excuses that life's too short and make the most of it while you've got it, but I am getting on now, and how many working years have I got left? You know, all that's becoming a bit of a concern. So I've got the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. You get a wee tear I'll get to bay because I wasn't quite finished talking. So I just thought I would do a wee circuit. Quite often cycle this wee circuit. Anyway, we'll see how it ends up. It's been a nice wee run, enjoyable, really enjoyable. I mean, can't you tell by my voice how excited I am? Very overcast today. Very hard to ride these bikes at 30 miles an hour, isn't it? I mean, ergonomically it's quite comfortable, to be honest with you. I'm not finding it too much of a problem, but and unlike a modern super bike, this will ride along at 30 miles an hour quite happy. It won't spit and splutter or be angry with you and clunky and horrible and, you know, being a bit erratic. You know, super bikes, highly stressed super bikes don't like to be plodding along, they just like to be full blown. But you know, I think this bike just shows you that you don't have to spend an enormous amount to get something that will really give you a lot of enjoyment. And you know, I know that buying new bikes is a waste of money. I know that. I suppose if, you know, depending on how you do it, if you're a PCP person and you're swapping them every 3 years, there's no harm in that. Okay, you don't own anything at the end of it, but if you just are thinking of it as a rental period, then it doesn't matter, does it? No. I mean, bikes will devalue, they will just keep devaluing, it doesn't matter, you know. Some bikes will bottom out at a certain price at some point, then some will actually go up, and but that's normally another generation that gets the benefit of that. Anyway, I think it's time to say goodbye now. If I'd had my normal GoPro, the battery would have been done well by now, and that would have been good news for you, because I would have shut up a lot earlier. But I am going to go now, and I'm going to wish you all a great Sunday night, and hope you have a good week coming ahead. So I'll sign off for now and say good night. Good night. Take care.